Welcome to the Missouri Instructional Leaders Network, where we bring together Missouri instructional leaders to share their experiences, grow professional relationships, and build curriculum and instruction skills. My name is Valerie Montgomery, and I'm one of the hosts here at Milne. This morning, we have two special guests from DESE. We have Chrissy Bashore, the coordinator of school counseling and student wellness, and Dierking, the coordinator of school-based mental health. And this morning, they are going to share some updates from Jeff City. So I'll turn it over to you, ladies.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you for having us on, and good morning. My name is Chrissy Bashore. I am the coordinator of school counseling and student wellness here at the department. I see some familiar faces on here, or names, I guess I should say. Always glad to be on and to engage. Today we wanted to open it up for discussion, very super informal. We do not have a PowerPoint, and just kind of touch base on the SEL framework standards that so many have been following over the last several months, and then just some new staff and then some school-based mental health information. So again, very informal. If you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or put something in the chat, and we can stop and address those. So just an update on the SEL standards. That was a state board charge back in December to develop SEL standards, standalone SEL standards K-12. We do have preschool standards, SEL standards already, and so the purpose of that was to make that K-12 comprehensive approach. Through lots of meetings and several months of work, we presented our final draft in October after the public comment period, and based on that public comment period, if you were able to follow along, we had a little over 1,300 comments. There were 16 questions, so 1,300 comments in each 16 questions, so it was quite a haul to go through all the feedback. But what we learned through that process was that there was a tremendous amount of misunderstanding on what SEL really means for our students in Missouri. So the board decided to pivot a little bit, not to misunderstand the board's decision that SEL isn't important, because we know that SEL is very important, social emotional learning, whatever you want to call it. Kiddos have to be in the right frame of mind to be able to learn. We all know that as educators, and their certain needs have to be met. So what they decided to do was to rename it from standards to a framework. We know that districts already have a lot of phenomenal SEL procedures and practices in place, but what the state felt is that at this time, it wasn't really our initiative with all the feedback to go ahead and put those in place and have those as SEL set state standards. So it is a framework. It's not released yet. If you're familiar with MSIP 6, which I'm sure you are, we already addressed those SEL standards in part of our MSIP 6 measures. So we'll keep it at that for now with the expectations of what SEL should look like. We feel like it was the right and appropriate decision to make at the state level. Like I mentioned, districts are really doing a phenomenal job. Several districts are. For those districts that need help with some of those SEL programs or how you integrate those into your core classes, we will have those posted. We're finalizing that document right now. It'll have the glossary, student indicators, and those 15 standards all posted together as a framework. So we'll have those posted. We're in the final review of those, just trying to get them to look more official. And then I can certainly share that with Valerie and have her send that out on where those will be located on the DESE webpage. That way it's easy for everybody to find. Sometimes that DESE website can be a little overwhelming, so we'll certainly share that out. We are excited about the work that team did. The main goal behind that charge was really get more buy-in and more people in the school system to be able to focus on SEL and not just have it the role of the school counselor or the role of just one certain professional or discipline in the building, but to really have this systemic SEL intentional focus. And so we will still move forward with that at the department and try to help with some of those trainings. We can't promote different vendors or programs, but we can certainly help what that looks like with implementation with those standards across all disciplines in the district. So we are excited about that, and we will have that out hopefully within the next couple of weeks. It'll also come out in the DESE update that the department sends out to your administrators, and then we'll send it on the school counseling listserv as well to make sure everybody knows where those are at. A couple of other exciting things is that under the school counseling student wellness umbrella, we also have Missouri Healthy Schools and the Director of Student Wellness. We are happy to say that we are fully staffed. I think the last time we were on this presentation, we were not, and so we're really excited about that. So Katie Epima is our new Director of Student Wellness. Her focus was going to be the SEL standards, so we've had to do a little bit of a pivot. Her focus is really going to be on trauma-informed, really trying to figure out where districts are in their trauma-informed journey, and then how we can help move those districts along, or even those districts that are not, but know that it's important, how we can get them started. We work very, very closely with our partners at the Department of Mental Health, and so we've really worked hard as a collaboration to meet those gaps. And so really excited about getting her going and started. And then we have a new director at Missouri Healthy Schools. So when we think about that holistic approach to the whole child, his name is Jimmy Hale. He's just doing a phenomenal job. Both of them have just jumped right in. So WISC model, anything physical education or health education, he is your go-to person for that. And I can definitely share those contact emails in the chat. But we're excited to have, to move forward. We've been on our capacity and our shoestring staffing has been a real issue, like most of you know in your districts. So we're really excited to be fully staffed and kind of level set and do some strategic planning around where this section wants to go in the next two to 5 years. Our work is also in the DESE strategic plan overall with the agency, and so it's really, really important that we engage with stakeholders like you all on this call to figure out, you know, what the need is, what we're missing, how we can help. So feel free at any point to email any of us, and even Lisa's team, which she'll share on anything SEL, student wellness, school counseling, school-based mental health. We're excited to learn from you all too. That's part of our strategic plan. We can't do it without your input. So a lot of really cool things coming up. The focus really has been on those SEL standards for quite some time. So we're excited to kind of reset and get back to school counseling and see where we can really help districts. So I do want to share, I will drop it in the link. It's the SEL, Show Me SEL webpage on the DESE site. We're going to get a team back together, our interagency team. We had one about a year ago, and it kind of dissipated with everything that's been going on. But we're going to get that team back together. And what that is it's all the SEL initiatives within the department coming from different areas, Office of Quality, Educator Quality, our folks in special education, the Office of Early Childhood. So there's a lot of work around that at the agency, and sometimes we get siloed and we don't know where those are at, but we don't want to duplicate efforts, and we definitely don't want to push things out from the department that feels like duplicated efforts for districts. So we're trying to align and make sure we're being strategic about that. So we have developed a Show Me SEL web page. It's an interactive web page. We're going to start updating that. We're going to get that team back together. So everything will be on that web page. I'll drop that in the chat as well. But that's also where you'll see that SEL framework. So we will continue to add to that. The beauty about that, it's not one that will ever be outdated because it's interactive. You click on it, it goes right to that department's web page. So sometimes things get outdated because we just miss it. That will not happen. So we're in the process of getting those updated. That way it's easy to be navigated and go straight to what you guys need, because again, sometimes it's hard to find where stuff's at on the DESE webpage. I think that was it on the SEL updates. Are there any comments about or questions about that process or where we landed with the SEL framework or anything SEL related? And if not, I'll shoot it over to my colleague, Lisa.
I'm good with silence, so I just want to make sure there's no questions. All right, be thinking of your questions because we'll have time at the end as well. So I'm Lisa Dierking. I'm the coordinator of school-based mental health. Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up. Okay. So my position, and I'm just going to do a brief kind of introduction. So my position was passed in that Senate Bill 681. I've been here a little over a year now. Until my position was passed, it was the first time that there's been kind of a voice for school social work and school psych, and this comprehensive school mental health kind of overview. And so with that, this section's brand new. And so our boss keeps saying, you know, we're kind of blazing a new path, and keeps reminding me of that whenever things seem a little bit overwhelming or there's these pieces. And so school-based mental health. And so with that, some of the things that we're doing, so we have Danny is one of our people, and he is the director of Project Aware, and he's been here a whole year with me as well. And then Chrissy mentioned that she's fully staffed, and I am super excited to announce that we were able to add a position that will also be able to help kind of be that voice for school social workers and school psychs. Really, really excited about that. And so when she says we're fully staffed, like both of our sections are fully staffed. And so it is a huge, very exciting time for school-based mental health, school counseling, school social work, school psych. One of the things that we're doing is this comprehensive school mental health. And so we have really been working on this last year over a lot of collaboration, a lot of relationship building. And one of the things that we have in place is this Missouri school mental health training, and it's available. We have had 2 trainings so far, and there's going to be another one. We're thinking probably to do it either in the spring or in the summer. It hasn't been scheduled just yet, but what it is it's these national best practices, and we've Missouri-fied them, and the people who are training are DESE. So it's Chrissy and Pat and Danny, myself, and Katie, those people who you just heard about. And then it's also our friends over at DHSS. And so it's our school nurse friends. So Marge, who's the state nurse consultant, and Ben, and then it's also our friends over at DMH. And so it's this interdisciplinary team that comes together. And so you have access to them. And what's great about it is not only do you learn the best practices, but you're also learning about resources. And there's this thing called SHAPE. So what we do is we pair, here's the best practices, and it's things that you know, but kind of having your school mental health team come together to learn about them all in a kind of in a nice little package. So you learn about, let's say, teaming. And then you do this thing called SHAPE, which is the school health. I have to have it up here so that I can say it right. School health assessment and performance evaluation. And it's just kind of like a snapshot of what your school is doing around, let's say, screening or tier 1 services. So those SEL things would be under that. And so your team comes together, and then you answer those questions about it. And it's what we've found is districts have enjoyed that process of learning about it and then answering the questions about it. And then after the 2 days, it's a 2-day virtual training is what we've done so far. Then there's some strategic planning around that of what are we going to do next? And it's just, we've had a lot of success around that. The SHAPE thing itself, it's free. Anybody can get in and get a SHAPE account. And one of the things that we've had, I think that people are amazed about is how many free resources. There's like over 500, I think, or 457 or some crazy amount of resources. And you can search by the exact thing that you're looking for. So there's free screening things. There's, if you really are looking for, you know, we really want to bump up our teaming, or we really need to look at our impact or funding. We need some more information on funding. And so the resources that are on there are fantastic. So that's one piece of kind of one strategically how we're building that system. And then over here, another way, on Thursday, we have a meeting with the professional orgs that are going to come together. So we have school counseling, school social work, school psych, and the school nurses all coming together kind of under the same roof to collaborate, relationship build, and kind of learn what each other's doing and learn about this other work that DESE is working on with those other agency partners. So those are some big projects, some big buckets. And then that's also aligned with Danny's work with Project Aware and those goals. The other pieces that I have that we've weaved in to those goals are I'm in charge of the immediate responsive services grant that a lot of you are in, and the Stronger Connections grant and some of those pieces. So if you have any questions about that, that's my stuff. We also have youth mental health first aid, and there's another round of teen mental health first aid that's going to be starting up. So that's kind of, just like Chrissy said, we really want this to be an interactive time to answer questions and get feedback from you all and have that time to be able to talk. And so I'm going to open it up to questions now. So it was silent earlier, but it's not going to be silent now because you guys have heard from us and we want to hear from you now.
So Lisa, this training you're describing, it sounds incredible. You said it's going to be probably in the spring?
Yes, so we've had 2 so far. So the way that we've done it is it's a 2-day virtual training and teams of, you can have just 2 people, but it's really set up to be 2 to 5. So it's your school mental health champion. So let's say your district has a head school counselor, a head school nurse, school social worker, an administrator who is just rock starring, really big champion for school mental health. And maybe there's an SRO officer that's, all about it. And so you pull these people together, and then everybody's hearing the same thing around best practices. And so there's 8 modules that we go through, and everybody kind of we've divvied that up. And so what I think is, and we've taken this from the national school mental health people. And then we also have our regional people who helped us kind of make sure that we were doing it right. And they're our go-to. But what I think is neat is we've connected it with the state agencies, and they're the ones that are also giving the training, so that you have a contact. So you might not always have that contact with, say, Rachel Jones, who's the director of trauma services for the whole state, or like Chrissy just mentioned, Katie Epima, she's the new director of student wellness with SEL. So then you have that personal connection. So you might learn about needs assessment and resource mapping from the DMH folks. And then afterwards you go into your teams and you go into what's called a breakout room. Then let's say there's 3 districts that maybe Chrissy's checking in with to see how they're doing on the SHAPE assessment tool, to make sure there's no questions. And so you're getting that connection with a state agency person and learning the resources and learning the best practices. And then at the end of it, you're also finding out like, okay, we're rocking it at screening, but man, we need to kind of maybe make our goal around early intervention, and those pieces. So
there's a sort of an element of like self-assessment in it to determine what you need to work on. And then
yes, it's a whole self-assessment. It's not us doing anything. It's all about the district deciding where they're at, where they want to go. And when we're talking, we're saying start small. So with Stronger Connections, for example, that grant, we made it a requirement that districts had to go through this training and do this SHAPE assessment tool 3 times. So that way they can learn the best practices and then hopefully see some improvement within their school mental health best practices.
So if I'm a principal and I am interested in getting registered for that event, I know you haven't set the date yet, but how would that be on that SEL website?
No, but I can. Let me figure this out real quick. I'll pull up the website, and then is it okay if I share my screen?
Sure, go ahead.
Let me get it pulled up first before all the other things that are on my screen. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay, are you guys seeing the DESE website?
Yes.
Yay, I love it when technology works the way it should. Okay, so you'll go to the DESE website, and then you just scroll down a little bit. And then this is called Mental Health Resources for School Staff and Students. That's the webpage that all my things are on. And then since we're on here, we'll kind of take you around a few other things that might be helpful. So you click there. And then if you just scroll down a little bit, this right here is where the Missouri School Mental Health training will be. So there's a flyer. I'll click on that in a minute. Here's where the sign up will be. And so right now, if you click on it, there's not a sign up because we don't have the next one scheduled yet because we just finished the other one a week and a half ago. And so we're getting feedback from those districts. I think we had 18 districts that were on that training. So we're getting feedback from them of, hey, what did you like? Hey, what can we improve on? Did you like that we were popping in and out of your breakout room? Would you rather have had a person in there with you the whole time? Would you rather us just leave you the heck alone? You know, like what can we do to improve before next time? And so then once we get some of that feedback, then we'll be scheduling the next one. And then I also want to point out we have scheduled, our schedules kind of get a little bit hectic. And so myself, Danny, and then another person called or Melissa Maris, who's part of most CPAP schools, which is a great resource as well. We have office hours. So it's the school mental health training office hours. And so that's every Thursday at noon. So that's on there as well. So every Thursday at noon, if you want to learn more about this SHAPE mental health training stuff, you can always go on there. So anyhow, that's all right here. This flyer, I'll click on that real quick. If you click on the flyer, that gives you more information. So if after this, you're like, well, I don't remember what she was saying, ignore the date up here because I don't want to take it off of the website because it has good information, but we'll update the date. Ignore the register here. But these are the fantastic things that you can click on to learn more. So the SHAPE system and then the National Mental Health Best Practices, and then what it's all about. Okay, so then that's, let me go back one. And then just so you all know, this is my Stronger Connections grant information, and then the other grants, and then mental health awareness curriculum. I know we've talked about that before. Youth mental health first aid, and then additional best practices and resources are at the bottom. I'm going to, since it's on here, take you to Chrissy's school counseling. And Chrissy, feel free to unmute and talk through this at all. This is the school counseling website, which has fantastic things. I go here a lot, especially for the legislation tab, if there's things that I'm needing from there. And then the SEL for all is, so there's things on here. The thing that we like to point out too is the listserv, which is right here. And anybody can sign up for this listserv, which is a fantastic resource. All right.
Thank you. That was really helpful. And I will be sure when I post this, I'll be sure to get all of these links for everyone in the comments. Okay. Anyone have questions about the SEL or the mental health updates?
I do have a question. I'm Brian Schick. I'm from Gateway Science Academy in St. Louis. We have really embraced SEL initiative, both here at GSA as well as within our charter school network of other sister schools across the country. But just kind of curious, you know, one of the things is we've studied SEL and we've studied that body of work in our political climate. That's kind of become a hot button along with some other things. And I'm just curious, knowing Missouri as I do, how supportive is our legislature, governor, and key people in terms of understanding what SEL is really about versus the political hot potato, so to speak?
Well, that was a very loaded question, but a very real one. So a great question. What I can share is that it has definitely been an eye-opener the last year working in SEL. SEL is not new. It's something that's been around for a very long time. I mean, we all know this. It's taught in our prep programs for teaching certification, for school counseling is taught in all those. We really saw that shift after COVID, where it really became a hot topic. It wasn't just SEL, it was a lot of different things, our social curriculum across the board. What I can share is the department feels very, very, very strongly about SEL. If you've listened to any of the board meetings that we've had presentations on, our state board president says we are not changing the term. We've been very, very strong about that too, because we feel like if we change the terms and we're saying the same thing, it doesn't matter what we call it, we're doing the same thing. Our friends over on the other side, it just varies. It really depends on who they are and what side they are, and it's kind of all over the board. What we learned from that public comment If you go back and look at the October board meeting, it shows the stakeholder who responded and the responses on if they were supportive or unsupportive. A lot of it, what we learned is that don't want this to sound, we have a lot of educating to do on what SEL is. There's a lot of misconception about what SEL is and what it means and what the intent is from the state agency coming in. But what I can share, and that's very hopeful, is that we have several big funded ticket items for SEL. And although we've seen them redlined, they always come back and they fully fund them. So that to me says on this end that they're supportive. There may be questions about them, but we have a really great leadership team that is able to go over and talk to them and kind of give them the scope of work or what's behind these programs, and they still continue to be fully funded. So that gives us some hope that even though there might be some contention around the term, they're still letting us proceed with that. So we just had our budget hearings yesterday, and we'll have another one today, and there hasn't been a whole lot of conversation around it. So hopefully, I think by the way the department pivoted from SEL standards to SEL framework, I think that kind of took the highlight off of that work, which that's what we were wanting. We know districts are doing a phenomenal job, you know, in their areas, and they're communicating with their community partners and their parents, and you guys know your community better than anybody. So districts are figuring that out. I mean, you guys are way beyond the state. You know, you guys know your folks. So to be honest, as leading that charge, I was very pleased with the way the board went and kind of got that highlight off, so you guys can do your work and we can do ours.
Okay, thank you. It's as we work with our sister schools across our charter network, it's like, you know, there's different stories coming out of other states, and for the director of SEL and DEI, she's been really talking about, you know, a lot of things we're working on and how they can really, you know, we got to be mindful as we navigate through some things. And it's, you know, as you said, we got a lot of educating to do with people, because it's like, if you really read what SEL is about, it's like, who would not want this for their children?
Right.
Do we want dysregulated people running around? That's probably not a good idea. I mean, I don't would be opposed to helping people gain the competencies to be more self-aware and regulated. So
absolutely. And Missouri is not unique to this. We just got back from a national conference in New Orleans last week, and all 50 states plus several other countries were represented, and it was the same story. It's this, I mean, every state. There was one state I was really impressed that they actually passed some kind of SEL piece through their legislature. I don't see that happening in Missouri just because there's so much educating to do around that. I mean, if you go back and look at those public comments, I mean, we were very transparent to that whole process. If you look at the survey and the comments that were being made, it is very, very, very clear that there's just a huge misunderstanding, because like you said, if people understand what SEL means, there shouldn't be any contention around it. It's what employers are screaming for. It's what parents are screaming for. It's what educators are screaming for. It's just what it's basic human decency, employability skills. So it was an eye opener for us to really let us know that we have a lot of work to do on this end, if we even try to approach it from a state level. But like I said, you were sitting in those positions, you tap into your communities, and you have the pulse on your community. So yeah, we're not unique in that. I mean, it's all over the country. So
okay, just curious. Hey, as long as they fund stuff, then that says they're willing to support. So,
and we continue just to keep getting we'll keep requesting the budgets because it's important. So
cool. Thank you.
Great question. Mm-hmm.
That was a great question. And I think I heard something on the radio just the other day about Kansas, and they're kind of shutting down the SEL work at the state level. So it's really encouraging to hear you all come on here and say that your staff is full, you're making all these great strides, and like you said, who would not want this for our kids? So it's really encouraging to see this work happening in Missouri.
Yeah,
So
and we're
thank you.
fortunate, I mean, at Gateway Science Academy, we're fortunate that our board fully supports it. Our parents, you know, and we are a school of choice, so they know kind of what we're about, what we're getting into, but even our network is taking it on. We're not, you know, we just need to be mindful of the bigger picture, but it's not something to shy away from. We keep pushing, so.
And I think communication and transparency is just key. The more you can be, and that was kind of our whole stance, was just making sure we're communicating and make sure we're transparent, no surprises, and letting everybody kind of have a voice.
Okay, do we have any other questions from our members here? Well, I think you have shared some really excellent resources. I'm excited to help communicate about your SEL webpage, and the that mental health training sounds awesome. So I'm gonna make sure to spread the word about that as much as I can. Okay, well, if there's no further questions, I'll be sure to
Thank
post
you.
this for everybody. And yeah, thank you so much for the work that you do every day. And thank you for taking the time to come speak with us.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. All right. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next time.